Assalamu alaikum. I just got cut off again. No problem. We'll just keep doing it until I pass out. This is day 3. I moved Wednesday night, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I was too tired on Thursday. I didn't do much. But Friday, Saturday, I'm almost done unpacking. And as I have been unpacking, I have noticed something. A small surah in Juz Amma that we memorized, all of us, when we first started out. You know, they tell you to memorize the small surah because you can pray with it. And I memorized this, my goodness, over 40 years ago, and have recited it in prayer. And every month when I finish the Quran, I read it. It's at the very back, okay? And I was struck like a lightning bolt. As I finished all this work of unpacking, there were like 10 huge bags, you know, like luggage type things. And I just felt this overwhelming shame of all of this stuff. And then immediately Allah rescued me by bringing me the Surah AtTakathur. That the second I felt the feeling and recalled the surah, I said, okay, you want to make a new curriculum? Supposedly a better curriculum for converts/reverts? Let's do this. This is what I mean about what I want to achieve with the knowledge Allah has given me and commanded me to convey, that I would put it in a frame of reference that would be applicable more to my audience, which is my calm Americans, especially now when we're going through a little bit of an economic downturn, shall we say, a big, fast downturn. I'm going to give you this surah, AtTakathur. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لا تعلمون علم اليقين. No, I made a mistake on that. كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. Now I will read you the translation, and then I'll, as you know, I guess you could say, rephrase it somehow with my asides. Competition and increase diverts you until you visit the graveyards. No, you are going to know. Then know, meaning N-O, you are going to know. Know, again, N-O. If you only knew with the knowledge of certainty, you will surely see the hellfire. Then you will surely see it with the eye of certainty. Ilm al-yaqeen, yaqeen, no doubt here. Then you will surely be asked that day about pleasure. Now, is pleasure forbidden in Islam? No. However, let's go up top of the surah, competition, an increase. Takathur, it comes from kathara, to be a lot. Diverts you, and this is the hakim at takathur, hakim. And I might add, as I look and I say you have to warn them, this is al-hakim, not al-hakim, not the one that is meaning government or law. Hakim, I call it the big H. So I learned it. So it's the Hakimiyya would be Islamic governance. The Hakim, I've told you before, would be the ruler of the country in Arabic. Hukm would be the decree that was given to you in the court, etc. That's Hakama. But this is what I call the little h. Hakim. It's not Hakim, it's Hakim. Like a normal H, like we would say, hello, hi. That's that H. The big one, I call al-ha, ha. And that's what's so difficult for the converts to learn because they keep on saying ha. Just today, my roommate, she's a 60-year-old woman, not roommate, but, apartment mate, flatmate, whatever you want to call it. She's way in the back, and I don't see her much. I've only come here 3 days ago, but the landlord's name is Ahmed, the big H, and she continually calls him Ahmed. So, of course, you know me with the pronunciation and the letters. I get a little bit, shall we say, enthusiastic. And I said, Kathy, his name is Ahmed. You have to say it like a big H, like Ahmed. Ahmed. Do you know this happens with every convert, or even non-convert? She's not Muslim, she's Catholic. But they all, when they try to say, they say, so learning the letters is a huge step in becoming a Muslim. It takes a while. It's not easy because there are many letters that you never heard of before in English. Let's go back to the meaning of this magnificent chapter, Surah, AtTakathur. You do know that we are victims. We were taught this. Conspicuous consumption. Over consuming way more than we need. To the point where the average American would go shopping just for fun every week. Let's go to the mall. This started when I was young. We had a store called Woolworths, and it was like a Dollar Tree. It was really awesome, that store. But we would go in with our little change, probably 50 cents, nickels and dimes, and we could go in and buy candy. It was fun. And this was constant. This wasn't once in a while. This wasn't on a holiday or a birthday or something special. This was, your parents would give you money to go buy stuff. So I'm starting off at the early days when I can remember. I'm talking like 5, 6 years old. Then 7, 8, maybe you'd get $1 or whatever. 9, 10, you might get $2. We're talking now early 50s. And we grew to associate happiness with consuming material things. So when you're small, it's candy, of course. Candy and ice cream. What else would it be? And then you would grow and get trinkets, like maybe little headbands and hair bows and things like that. And then when you were a teenager, the first mall ever built in America was in my state, not exactly in my vicinity of where I lived, but close enough, within a 50-mile radius. And it was the first mall ever in America. So we, as teenagers, we would hang out there. And then we got part-time jobs, and then we would save our money, and we, every week, would go and buy things. And then when you were, as I was, newly married or whatever, this turned into getting a new dress like every other week because there were so many shops that were made to lure you. And I recall one of them was called Hit or Miss. So, and at that time, I recall I was working. My son was maybe, I don't know at that time, maybe, it was such a long time ago. He was probably 6. And you would take your money and you would stop by Hit or Miss. This is my first marriage. You would stop by just to see what you could get for a bargain. And in those days, they had dresses, literally, shorts, pants, for $5. So you were like raised up on purchasing things. This is takathur. Al-hakama takathur. And then, yes, are you diverted in this way? Are you competitive in this way? Well, of course. Then your friends, what'd you get? What'd you get? Show me, oh, you did not pay $10 for that. I got it for $9, or something like this. And then you would prove your worth as to what a super shopper you were. You were a thrifter. And even way back in the day, it was cool to be a thrifter. And I don't even recall thrift shops back then. We didn't have them. We had shops made for silly women that you could just put a few racks of colorful, low-priced, new dresses that they could wear to the club or wherever they were going. To show off, of course. That was the main point of having the young women, who were always young and beautiful, look young and beautiful every week with a new outfit. That's what we'd call it, a new outfit. Okay. Now Allah is saying, you will surely come to know that you will see the hellfire. So now let's just read the footnotes here about what they're telling us about this state of affairs. I'm going to see the hellfire just because I like shopping and I keep buying useless things that I don't really need. What does Allah say here? You can remain there temporarily, maybe, until the day of resurrection. In the conclusion of this verse, it is estimated that you would not have been distracted from preparing for the hereafter. In the conclusion, with actual eyesight, the comforts of worldly life, and whether you were grateful to Allah for His blessings. Now, this is where Islam really comes in. I mean, it comes in everything in life, but you're supposed to be grateful. You're always supposed to say, Ana min ash-shakirin ya Rabb. I thank you. I'm aware that you have favored me with increase or something that I have pleasure from of consuming. AtTakathur, piling it up. We never thanked Allah. I never thought to thank Allah. And I was in nuns' school from the age of 3 till the age of 15. And then I always worked. And did I pray every day? Yes, in my way, though. I wasn't like my dad, who kneeled beside his bed every morning and every night before he slept. That is not really how we were raised as Catholics, because as Catholics, you were raised to go to confession and communion and pray and all that. But by the time you were 15, it hits everyone at 15. You just blow it off, I believe in God. I'm a good person. I'm not stealing. I'm not beating anyone up. I'm not, you felt you knew. You knew what to do. You knew what was right and wrong. Most of us were probably tempted in teenage years to do wrong things. But we never viewed ourselves as like evil. But now, when I came into this, I've done, I don't know how many Airbnbs, 8 in the past year. Packing, unpacking, packing, unpacking, packing, unpacking. Why? To lug around stuff. So am I guilty? Yes, absolutely. Do I need all of this stuff? This is an accumulation. You can say half of what I came with from Egypt a year ago, and half of what I acquired since I've been here. Lugging it around for what? What is the reason for this? Is it disobedience to Allah? I say it is, yes. And that's why I'm feeling guilty, especially after I read this Surah. I think I'll have to read it every day to myself. And I said, isn't it a miracle how Allah hit me with this surah on the third day of unpacking when I'm finally taking a breath. Remember, I'm 78 now. And Allah gently, I say, prodded me to take a good, hard, long look at myself and then talk to you. Because we are in an economic downturn now. We notice it. The supply chain is hurting for certain, to throw in the euphemisms. We're in big trouble. Shelves are emptying of the things that we expected to find. Prices are skyrocketing. Every week you go to the supermarket, they're doubling, tripling. Everyone is nervous and angry, confused, and yet Allah is just giving, I believe, us what we deserve, scaring us to pull us back into what should be the real priorities. Now, I myself have never participated in a demonstration because it's not of the Sunnah, okay? But I do say everywhere I go, free, free Palestine, and I do my lessons, and I do pray extra for them, and I feel I'm not ignoring the plight of the Palestinians, but there are so many people doing much more than I'm doing, putting themselves on the line, their physical bodies on the line. And, well, you know, I don't want to make this news channel about what's happened today, but I do want to make it a semi-wake-up call, especially to women, because men do not normally do this. Men buy big toys. You know, their dream is to get a motorcycle or a new car. Or if you have more money, you can get a boat, or you can even get a yacht, or maybe you can even get your own private plane. That's what men like. What is this? It's what it always is. Don't mind my white hair. My white hair is so Irish and stubborn that no matter how many clips and bandanas you put on it, if you don't literally glue it with gel, it's going to do this. It's saying, hey, look at me. You can't control me. I laugh because I know it's not a real fitna now. I'm, granny. But I don't want to put that gel on. It makes it all sticky and crackly and hard. And ladies, you know what I mean. I can't wait to go back to Egypt and put my niqab back on. When you have your niqab on, it's totally covered. It's the mass dose of freedom. I keep telling women, the less you are vain, the happier you will be. Man daqa arif, who has tasted knows. And you ask any Muslim woman who wears a niqab, she's going to agree with that. But the powers that be don't like it. And if you wear it here, a good friend of mine in an area where she lived near Washington, D.C., Maryland, a niqabi mom was going in a mini mart to get something. When she came out, they shot her. Someone shot her a few times in her arms and legs. But then I have other niqabi women here who won't even go out of the house without their husbands in the car or their grown sons driving them around. So it's a little bit turning like upside down from American culture. And the so-called freedom that we grew up with, when I think of what we did, I should make a video. When I do my history channel, I'm going to make videos, not religious, because I'm going to monetize it. I keep telling you that. Pray for me that I get the ability. I've got to get some technician, some woman that knows what's going on. And I'm going to tell you all about the life of an American teenager. In my world would have been in the 60s, 70s. By 80s, you were more or less married with children, and you were. But when I look back on what we did and how we were totally out of control. It was an adventure, and it was scary and wrong, but guardian angels obviously were around us because I was never bothered, and I went in many places where I should have been bothered. So stay tuned. There's a lot more coming, always with an emphasis on the words of Allah. Don't be of the type of person that is satisfied with accumulating material goods, especially not to compete with others. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.